What is the haps, my nap fam? It's your girl T, aka the nappy headed jojoba, here with a bit of a weird video, not gonna lie. Now, there may very well be another YouTuber out there who's done a video exactly of this sort, but I ain't seen it. And what I'm talking about today are things that I took out of my cart during the Sephora sale. I also did do a haul of what I did buy during the Sephora sale, which I will link right here. And whether or not I stuck to my guns and stuck within my budget, you'll have to watch that video to find out. But this is more about the things that I almost bought and that I really wanted to buy, but that I, for one reason or another, did not. So it's sort of in the vein, it's like the redheaded stepchild of an anti-haul. But I find videos like that interesting, you know, anti-hauls or what I'm not buying videos, because I think the thought process of why someone chooses to buy something or chooses to buy one thing instead of something else, it's all very interesting. So if you agreed, I guess that's probably why you clicked on this video. So let's just jump into it. Here are some items that I had in my cart during the Sephora sale that I ultimately took out and did not buy. The first item is the Sephora MicroSmooth Powder. I've been hearing about this goddamn powder for years. It has a bit of a cult following on YouTube, and I always hear how great it is and how it makes you look so smooth, hence the name MicroSmooth Powder. And I've wanted to try it for a really long time, but I didn't get it because, girl, I don't be using powders like that. The MicroSmooth is basically a light powder foundation. I feel like it's a powder foundation that looks like it would give light to medium coverage. And I don't really have a use for that type of powder in my routine in the way that I like to do my makeup. If I'm on camera, I'm wearing liquid foundation. If I'm not on camera, I'm wearing concealer. And I don't really have a place in my routine for powder foundation. More to the point, I have powder foundation in my collection that I barely, if ever, use. So even though that MicroSmooth powder sounds great and everyone has nothing but nice things to say about it, and it's even reasonably priced with or without the sale discount, it just isn't something that I can see myself using realistically. So I realized that I was buying it for hype and not for any practical purpose in terms of how I like to do my makeup. The next item I took out of my cart is the Armani Power Fabric Concealer. As a concealer wearing hoe, you know, most of the time in my real life, I'm wearing either no makeup, or if I'm wearing makeup, I just do concealer under my eyes, and if I need to conceal some hyperpigmentation or a healing blemish or anything like that. So I love a good concealer, and I've heard amazing things about this Armani Power Fabric one. I didn't buy it because even though I love a good concealer, I have a good concealer. I am very deeply in love with my Cover FX Power Play concealer, and it's still going strong. I don't need to replace it anytime soon. So perhaps if it's low or has completely run out by the time of the next Sephora sale, that'll be a nice time for me to check out this Armani Power Fabric concealer. But I simply don't need another concealer right now, and I couldn't justify buying it. The next item that was in my cart and that I really went back and forth about taking it out was the Charlotte Tilbury Icon Palette. Anything Charlotte Tilbury comes out with, I'm at least investigating it to see if it's something that I might want to pick up. And I did a video like 2 or 3 months ago when the palette first launched, talking about how much I wanted it, but how much I decided it wasn't really worth it for me to get because it looked similar to things that I already have in my collection. Eventually, I was able to swatch the palette in store and take a look at it. It does have a couple of fun colors in it in that last column, that green and that blue. But realistically, if I want to create looks with colors like that, I have them. And if you cover up those colors, the tones in the rest of the palette look pretty basic. So even though it was a good value for Charlotte Tilbury, especially with 20% off, it just seemed too redundant to things that I already have. I feel like I could create a look that looks a lot like whatever I would come up with using that palette with things I already have. And while textures and formulas and performance all differ, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much. I do always reserve the right to change my mind, but at this point, I feel pretty much at peace with passing on that palette once and for all. The next item I had in my cart and took out was the Pharmacy Cleansing Balm. This is actually another item that was in that video where I was talking about things that I wanted but that I wasn't going to buy, but it did sneak its way into my cart for a couple of days when I hadn't yet made my purchase. In the end, I decided against it pretty easily because I noticed that it contains fragrance. I don't think it's like an artificial fragrance, but I think it has essential oils or other things that are known irritants. And I've been getting a lot more strict with avoiding things like fragrance, colorants, essential oils in my skincare, and my skin is definitely the better for it. That's the sneaky thing about ingredients like fragrance. You may not think that you have any sensitivities or that anything bad is happening to your skin, but it's a bit like smoking one cigarette. You know, you smoke one cigarette, you look the same, you more or less feel the same, and then you can keep smoking for quite a while, and then later on you'll be like, oh fuck, I have COPD. So with nasty ingredients in skincare, over time of being a lot more vigilant about avoiding things like fragrance and essential oils that are known to be irritating, I've noticed an improvement in my skin, and that's the only thing that I can think. It's the fact that I've been way more strict about eliminating those as much as possible from my skincare. Unfortunately, almost all makeup has fragrance in it. So that was an easy one for me. Eventually, I just was like, you know what? I love my Clinique Balm. Just because everyone keeps telling me that this one's better doesn't mean it's better for me. So I'm going to stick with my Clinique. It's got a better price point, it's got no fragrance in it, and I'm going to be happy about it. The next item I had in my cart is a Bite Beauty liquefied lipstick in the shade Candied. I believe this line of lipsticks from Bite Beauty is being discontinued because even prior to the VIB sale, they were already reduced on Sephora. I think they were $12 reduced from $24. So to stack an additional 20% off on top of that was very enticing. Looking online, the shade Candied looked exactly like the type of color that I've been looking for. I've been looking for a coral, but corals in my skin complexion, it's very tricky. There's a very narrow scope of the types of corals that will actually work well with my skin tone for one reason or another. I kept striking out trying to find the perfect coral lip color that I had in my dream, in my imagination, but this one looked exactly right. The reason I didn't get it was when I was at the Sephora store kind of doing my reconnaissance before I actually was going to make my purchases for the sale, swatching different things I had in my wish list or already in my cart, I stumbled across a lipstick from the Sephora collection, one of their Lip Stories lipsticks, and you will have seen this in my Sephora haul if you've seen that video. And that color was bang on exactly what I've been looking for. It was the exact shade that I've been dreaming of. And even at full price, it was still cheaper than the reduced price for the Bite lipstick that I couldn't swatch in store because it wasn't available, probably because they're discontinuing it. And it just made it an easy choice. I was able to actually see the color I wanted in person, confirm it was exactly what I was looking for, and it was cheaper. Bitch, please. Sorry, Bite, but you're out of here. The next item I had in my cart and I took out was the NARS Orgasm palette. This palette has had it's had quite the mixed bag of reactions, mostly negative though. It's a palette of 6 shades, it's got a bronzer shade, some blush shades, some highlighter shades, all creams. When I saw it was all creams, I was just like, that is for me. My ride or dies, no, I'm a cream and liquid hoe. Bars. I love a liquid highlighter or a cream highlighter, blush, bronzer, all of the above. And to have them all in one palette, just the arrangement of the shades looked delicious. But pretty much every review I saw on YouTube was saying it was fucking trash. So I was really conflicted. Again, when I was at the Sephora store doing my reconnaissance, I swatched it because luckily they did have one in store for me to be able to swatch. And I found that the pigmentation was barely there. I think it would be good for someone like me because generally I wouldn't be putting it on top of a full face of foundation or anything. Like I just do my concealer where I need it, and I feel like it would still work quite well for me, but the pigmentation was so, as Samantha Ravindal would say, it was very gently pigmented, and too gently in a way that would be good because you don't want to build up cream products like that. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to layer what was a rather semi-heavy feeling cream product just to get the pigmentation you need. It seemed like it was going to be too much work and not worth it. And you know, it's NARS, so it wasn't going to be a cheap palette. So as pretty as it was, and as much as I thought actually I might be in the small group of people for whom this would be perfect, it just I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to have to take it back because it was disappointing or anything like that. And I decided, you know what? I feel like I have items already that work for me. And even though they're not conveniently in one palette together, I don't need this. Sticking with NARS, from that same Orgasm collection of things that just came out, I guess, which is weird because Orgasm, the blush shade, has been around since forever and they're always releasing various versions of Orgasm stuff. But anyway, in that new batch of Orgasm stuff that came out, they had an oil-infused lip tint, I believe they called it. I wanted this so bad because I really love the NARS Orgasm lip balm. I'm wearing it right now underneath my Fenty gloss. Love that balm. Can't live without it. Will definitely definitely be repurchasing when it runs out, that kind of thing. And I thought that those two paired together would be perfect, but again, swatch that lip oil in store and it looked like nothing. It was basically clear with maybe a little bit of shimmer, like almost no tint, no pigmentation, nothing. And therefore not worth it, because the effect it gives I can get from things that are far less expensive, and more importantly from things I already have. So that was an easy one to take out of the cart. Last but not least, I had the Kaja Eye Pigments in my cart. I had the shades Magic, Mystical, and Cosmic. This was a brand that was not on my radar at all prior to the sale. I don't think I've ever even heard of Kaja before, but somebody, I think it might have been Mel Thompson, was mentioning one of the shades that I just named as one that she was going to pick up, and I happened to see them in store. I wasn't really thinking too much about it, but I saw them in the store on the display, and the name rang a bell from seeing it in Mel's video. I was just like, let me just swatch a couple of these. And the shade she talked about happened to be one of the purples, which was why I, of course, went to swatching that one immediately. And these colors are so cool and unique. The three that I named in particular were unique and cool to me, and I was just like, I am getting these. However, I took them out of my cart simply because I didn't want to buy something that doesn't really have much of a track record. I haven't really seen too many people talking about them. I don't know what the performance is like. They're actually relatively affordably priced, so even without the sale, if I feel like I just need them in my life later, it's not going to break the bank. And as well, Timptalia ended up reviewing some or all of the shades that I had in mind, and she gave them really low ratings. I think like C+, something in that arena. Christine from Timptalia is someone whose opinion I trust because I feel like she's truly non-biased and she just tells it like it is. And of course, things will depend on your skin type, your application method, just your own body, on how well they work for you and whatnot. But when she gave them a bad review, it made it easier for me to pump the brakes and say, not never, but not now. So those are still on my Sephora wish list for perhaps purchase at a later date, but it was an easy decision for me to at least say, take that out of my cart, we're not going to get that on today. That is it. Those are all the things that I almost bought but didn't buy in the Sephora sale. But if you want to see my haul where I show you what I did get and share whether or not I actually stuck to my rules and didn't go out of my mind and spend too much money, I will link my haul video right here. And other than that, we're done. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye-bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.